So how do you recover data from your drive or your device? Well, the answer to that actually depends on what happened to it. Depending on the problem that you're experiencing, the steps to recovery are different. So you've probably already done a search online, and the first thing you saw was there's a lot of software out there at anywhere from $50 to a couple $100, and they promise to get your files back. Well, I've used all that software, not always successfully. So, word of caution. Okay, there's a couple kinds of issues that those softwares help with. However, one of the saddest things I've come across is when someone brings in their drive, they tried the software on it, and they made a mistake with the settings or how to use it, where they were putting things, and actually damaged the data that was left, or overwrote the data that was left, which made actual recovery impossible. So I caution against using the software, particularly if it's your first time out of the gate and your first recovery. Don't experiment on your important data. That's not the time to learn. Anyway, the software that's out there really only helps with a certain kind of issue. Now, we've got about 3 different categories of issues here, and the software certainly doesn't help with all of this. Now, if you've dropped your drive, or the drive's become wet or crushed, the software's not going to help with that, so save your money. Now, of the other things that can happen with it, if it's an electrical issue, then the problem is on the circuit board, and that requires a bit of fine touch skills to be able to replace components and get that back in functioning. I don't recommend starting out and practicing on the drive, particularly if it's your first time out of the gate. If you damage some of those chips, it can make recovery impossible for everybody. Right? So be aware of that. It is quite sensitive. Now, lastly, mechanical issues are on the inside of the drive, that last category there. Those are the most challenging to work with. That requires a clean lab to open it up, because you don't want any dust on the inside. You don't want any fingerprints on the inside. You got to be very careful. The components on the inside are very delicate and easily damaged. Those are the most expensive components too, so if you do make a mistake, best case scenario, it's expensive. Worst case scenario, it's unrecoverable. I've seen people bring in their drives before where they've opened it up and just taken a look, and they got a fingerprint in there, or in using the screwdriver, it slipped and they nicked something in there, and that was it. Had to tell them your item's unrecoverable. So I exercise caution. Drive recovery is a very skilled labor. It takes us about 6 months to bring a technician on board and get them trained up properly to see what they need to see, to recognize what they need to recognize, and to have the touch and the skill necessary to work with the delicate components of a drive. So if you've lost data, if you've dropped your drive, if something bad has happened, I recommend not experimenting. Not with your stuff, not right now. After we do the recovery, if you want to practice up, that's a much safer option. But so hopefully that helps.